Hi everyone, and welcome back to Why We Do It, the stories behind the stories in amateur sports, and to this particular special Eejitonabike series. This episode is very kindly sponsored by Pedal Power in West Calder. They command one of the biggest cycling retail floor spaces in Scotland, and they can advise on all aspects of cycling, from your kid's first bike right up to pro-level road and off-road bikes, e-bikes, accessories, and clothing. They also provide coaching, group rides, bike fit services, plus a superb workshop. Always friendly and incredibly helpful. I bought my first main road bike there a few years ago and have been using them ever since for all my cycling requirements. A top-notch outfit. That's Pedal Power, located on Main Street in West Calder. David, it's 3 weeks in, Sunday the 12th of July. I think this is the first time I've spoken to you at the end of a day. I have spoken to you previously on the previous 2 weeks, at the end of first week and end of the second week, at the about halfway through a day when you still had other stuff to go on and do. But this is you finished, and you're in the mountains. You've been there a couple of days. We didn't talk before we started recording, so I don't know this apart from the one comment you made. But how are you? I think that's the most important first question. How are you getting on?
I'm completely and utterly shattered. Today was a very hard day. It was 35 degrees for, I suppose, from 12 o'clock until well after 5. So it was very energy sapping. And so a ride that was pretty flat turned out to be quite tough. Anyway, I'm here now and I've got a lovely place to stay. It's only 400 meters from where I'm sitting. I'm about to get a pizza. So the guy might drop it to my table just while we're talking.
That's fine.
I also met Michael today at lunchtime.
Oh, wow. I see he's quite a long way back. So, yeah, go on then.
Yeah. So he broke a spoke on his bike and his heart rate was all over the place in the heat as well. So he's decided to get the spoke fixed from a mechanic tomorrow and start riding again in the evening because he just can't handle the heat. So he's 80k behind now. If I do whatever, no more than 170 tomorrow, he'll be 200 and something behind before he starts. But he's happy to cycle at night. He doesn't think he has any capacity at all to cycle in the day. So it was good actually to chat to him. He's okay. Yeah,
there's been a lot that's gone on this week. I was looking at the map. I mean, the last couple of days has been intense as anything. But when we spoke last week, last Sunday, you were in Poznan, and you and Michael were celebrating doing the Poznan. Must feel like an absolute lifetime ago. And it's incredible. It's incredible for the rest of us sitting here. If it wasn't for the bleeps of the WhatsApp channel constantly going off, we would we'd probably almost forget you were out there. But we do. For me, it feels like you blink and a week's gone by, and you're like, oh, I wonder where David is exactly. Although we've been tracking the messages, and then I look at the map again, and you've gone all the way through the Czech Republic. You've gone all the way through the southern part of Germany. You've gone along the border between Switzerland and Austria, and then through a big chunk of Switzerland. And now you're not unreasonably kind of distance into Italy. And hopefully that Italian pizza you're about to get delivered is going to be absolutely spot on. You're not far from Milan on the map, but you're not going to go anywhere near it. You're going to keep going across to the west. But it's been when you hear all those countries, I'm just trying to take you back, but it must be quite hard to actually remember back 6-7 days. But there's been quite a bit going on this week. But how's the overall week been?
The overall week's been okay. Obviously, the conversation I had with Michael a couple of days ago, where he decided he couldn't do the mountains in the day, was a bit of a downer. After it was a brilliant day cycling, that day was just absolutely magnificent. I had so much energy at the end of that day, which doesn't happen very often. I could have easily kept going. I think it was to Bregenz, in Austria. So that was a bit of a, as a dampener on the whole thing. And I was very worried about whether or not I could do this on my own. But I've done 3 days now, I think it's 3 days on my own, including those huge climbs yesterday and this morning. So the Oberalp was very late last night. It was an absolute panic because Denise had booked a place for me, but they wanted me to be there by 9. And that Oberalp has 10 and 11 and 12% gradients at the end of your day. And then a 12-kilometer descent to the village when it was freezing, with just your cycling kit on. So I got there in the end, and they were lovely. And there was about 12 or 15 people. It was a hostel, and they were fantastic. I had a great chat with them this morning. And then, of course, you get up and you have to climb the Bogart, or whatever the hell it's called, pass, which was a real tough climb first thing in the morning. I think it was 650 meters over 7 kilometers. So that's a brutal climb. But I'm telling you,
so we've
Jim,
all known. Go on. Yeah, you're telling me. Go on.
I have never seen anything like what I've seen in the last 2 days in terms of the sheer size and scale of the Alps. The lakes I was looking at today, it was just magnificent. So it kind of keeps you going, even though they're hard to climb.
I'm just looking at a map, and it looks attractive just on the map, just with the windy routes down. Today you came all the way down that lake to where you are now at the southern tip of that lake, and I think Michael's at the top end of that lake as we speak. From Germany into the mountains in Switzerland, Austria, it does actually look really really attractive on the map, but it doesn't look anything like as steep as I'm sure it was for you. But you've been anticipating the hills for quite a while. So have they been as bad or worse than you expected, or maybe slightly better? I mean, how have they been compared to what you were expecting?
I'm one of these people that always likes to expect the worst, and things can only get better. They're not bad, Jim. They're not hard not pass or any of that sort of stuff. There's no 20% gradients. There are 12 and 13s on the switchbacks, but that's that's so far. I think the real McCoy starts second half of tomorrow, depending on how far I go. And the great thing is, if I want to finish this in 40 days, I only really need to do 170 kilometers a day from now on. And I'm going to try very hard not to do any more than that.
Yeah.
So
okay.
if I do that, if I can do that, and it all depends on whether there's places to stay around about 170 kilometers, then I'm okay, I think. It's just that 4 hours during the middle of the day, it's very, very hot. And trying to keep yourself hydrated and fed. Like yesterday was a complete disaster. I ate nothing other than what I had in my bag. In my bags, I had sandwiches, bananas, nuts and raisins, and chocolate bars. I did not stop for a meal during the day at all yesterday, which is why there was no pictures.
Why is that? Is that because there wasn't anywhere to stop, or because you just had your head down?
I had to get to hospital last night, and when I was maybe ready to stop, there was nothing there. So I just kept eating stuff from petrol stations more than anything.
Right.
Today I sat and I had a proper lovely salad, and then a tomato spaghetti thing, which was great. So I had plenty of food this afternoon. So I'll do that going forward.
I just made a note to come to something at the end, but I do want to go back a few subjects. But I just wrote a note there to come to the end, talking about how much food you're eating. You're not looking like you're putting on any weight, if you don't mind me saying. In fact, quite the opposite is the point I'm trying to make. You're looking a little skinny, and I hope that pizza you get just about to have delivered is a family-sized pizza, because I think you could do with packing in a few of those 6,000 calories a day that you're talking about.
Honestly, Jim, I'm not hungry, which is great, right? I felt a little bit underpowered today because I didn't eat well yesterday, but that was the first day that happened. So I'm not really worried about it. I know how I look, right? But it's fine. I'm okay. Like, the guy refused to give me a full pizza because he said the full pizza, he said the full pizza are just for 6 people. I said, well, could you? So he could only sell me a slice. I said, can you give me 2 slices? And if I need more, can you give me another one? So
a slice at a time, because that makes sense.
He can give me 2 anyway, and then we'll see how I get on after that.
Okay. You've rattled through a few subjects, and I was going to ask follow-ups, but you kept moving on. I didn't want to interrupt you. So can we go back a few subjects? Just Michael's decision Did that come
Yeah.
out of the blue, or was that brewing for a while? Were you completely surprised by that, or could you feel it coming? Because I was reminded, I'm going to refer to your North Cape 4000 ride that you did with him a few years ago, and I was reminded of the day that you guys stopped because of his health. Do you remember? You had like a whole day where you didn't go because he was unwell.
Yeah.
So was it brewing for a while, or was it a real surprise?
It was a surprise to me. It must have been brewing in his head. There was one day where he was particularly quiet for several hours. And so I asked him what was wrong. And he told me that day the temperature had spiked up a bit. You know, we'd been used to going through as far as Czech Republic even, where the weather was not much different to what it would be in Scotland. And then all of a sudden, when we got into Germany, the temperature picked up and he started struggling. But it was a real surprise to me when he said, I'm going to cycle nights. I mean, I stopped on the side of the road and I said, there's three options, Michael. You can cycle nights, you can cycle days, or we can have some sort of a compromise where we take 3 or 4 hours off during the day. And as much as I like Michael, he's a very dogmatic person and he's not for changing his mind. And it doesn't really matter what the impact is on anybody else.
The two of you trying to come to a compromise must be an interesting kind of challenge.
No, Jim. No, I did compromise. I mean, I compromised on 36 days. I compromised on doing the 3 big climbs in one day. I even said, I don't care when we finish. I've compromised a lot. I compromised the last time as well. So I don't think it's fair to say I don't compromise. I do. It's just Michael doesn't at all. Now, I can understand why. He told me today that when he was in the hospital, his body temperature was up to 39 degrees, even after having a cold shower. So he's seriously struggling in the heat. I think I probably struggled a bit today as well because I could feel real lethargy and tiredness no matter what I drank. So I probably struggled a bit more today than I did yesterday, but I'm putting that down to the fact that I didn't eat enough yesterday.
It's a beast of an event, isn't it? It's just got one thing after another. If it isn't the gravel, then it's the hills coming up, and then the heat. And I mean, and you knew the hills were coming, and you knew the heat was coming as well. And unfortunately, the hills will dissipate eventually. Although I was looking at the route, and I thought it was particularly cruel of them when they could have taken you across the top end of Italy past Turin down to Monaco and just skipped all the rest of the mountains. Instead, they make you turn right and go back into the mountains and follow that curve round.
They do,
They are full of cruelty, these people.
They most definitely are.
Yeah, so it's one thing after another. On that note, the other thing we haven't touched on, which I do remember from early in the week, and I was quite concerned, but it hasn't come up for a few days again, which is encouraging. But the whole knee thing that was intriguing. How are you getting on with that?
So Ken Stewart, who's on the chat, advised me to put ibuprofen gel on my knee. So I'm using the same gel that I'm using on my fingers on my knee. And to be honest, I had problems the day before yesterday, but just for half an hour. And I've not had anything today or yesterday, even in those big climbs. So I'm looking after it, and it's not giving me any jip yet. I had neck problems yesterday just because of the concentration required descending rather than ascending. And today's descent was bloody hell. Tom Pitcock could love it. I mean, it was amazing. But my hands were
on the brakes.
On the brakes all the way down, because if you let it go, God knows where I'd have ended up.
And that extra weight you're carrying on the bike as well. Yeah, you'd be. Have fun. Is this the pizza? Here comes the pizza.
Okay. You're right.
Here's the pizza. We got the family size. Oh wow, that's a slice. Jeez,
That's a slice. Yes, I think the guy's probably right.
A whole one of those. A full-size pizza but it's about 6 inches thick. That pizza, that's incredible.
It's definitely not small. I'll tell you that, Jim.
All right, well, we'll wrap up. We'll wrap up soon, and I'll let you get stuck into that. But I just want the last couple of things to touch on, and then you definitely need to get that down your neck. But the overall distances. North Cape, and by the way, firstly, I just want to finish that last bit by saying fantastic that your your knee is okay, or hanging in there, your hands are okay. That is huge signs of resilience and just the continuity that you've got going on. This is great. And when I saw that, I thought, okay, one thing or two things are going to happen. It's either going to go worse, or it's going to stay the same, or it's going to get better. And I'm glad you're managing that well. That's really good news. Distance wise, do you remember I can't remember the exact distance at the North Cape that you did before. How far was that altogether?
4,500, Jim. And I'd say...
So 4.5, like exactly 4,500?
Give or take 10 or 15 kilometers, yeah.
Okay, do you know how much you've done overall now, as of today?
I won't be far off that, I'd say.
Give or take.
Less.
No, it's not even that. Give or take, it's like 30 or 40 less than that. 4,462.
Wow.
You might as well consider that you have done the same distance that you did. Was it 2 or 3 years ago? You have clocked it. I'd rack it up now. Give or take 10 or 15 Ks. You're there by the time. So 3 weeks, and you've from whatever you do from here on is going to be into new territory for you. So that in itself is absolutely fantastic. And the other good news in terms of distance to go, I was very encouraged to see that in percentage terms, it's got a 3 on the front of it. 39% distance still to go.
Yeah, and for me, more importantly, it's got a 2 in front of the number of miles or kilometers.
Exactly, 2,900. I mean, it feels like nothing now compared to what from here anyway. That's me saying that, sitting here behind in a nice comfy chair. Yeah. But it does feel you're into that last kind of phase now, mate. You've done so well to get to this point, and I know every time I go out somewhere, people are asking me how you're getting on, and I'm like, I'm not quite sure. I can only see the same messages you can see, but there's so many people asking how you're getting on, and so many people tracking what you're doing. So absolutely amazing.
Yeah. Okay. Right. I'm going to get on with my pizza, my friend. And we never mentioned what a brilliant result Mayo had yesterday. So another All-Ireland. I may well have to take the afternoon off for that game. Which is the 27th of July, I think. So anyway,
I wasn't going to get into it until they were in the final, and the curse is that you're going to have to tell us all about the curse next week, because the curse is going to be broken. I've got that sense it's going to be over next week.
Well, hopefully we'll in a couple of weeks. Hopefully, but we'll have to wait and see. Anyway, look, thanks for taking the time, Jim, and
thank you for taking the time.
Yeah, and I will speak to you again in a week or so.
Enjoy that massive wedge of pizza that you've just been given. I think you need it.
Thanks a million. Take it easy.
All the best. Talk soon. Bye-bye. Bye.
Cheers. Bye.